Readings and homily for the 27th Sunday in Ordinary Time, Year C. The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. The apostle said to the Lord, "Increase our faith." The Lord replied, "Were your faith the size of a mustard seed, you could say to this mulberry tree, 'Be uprooted and planted in the sea,' and it would obey you. Which of you, with a servant ploughing or minding sheep, would say to him when he returned from the fields, 'Come and have your meal immediately'? Would he not be more likely to say, 'Get my supper laid, make yourself tidy, and wait on me while I eat and drink? You can eat and drink yourself afterwards'? Must he be grateful to the servant for doing what he was told? So with you. When you have done all you have been told to do, say, 'We are merely servants. We have done no more than our duty.'" The Gospel of the Lord. A missionary in Africa was translating John's Gospel into the local dialect. He encountered many problems with certain words. One such word was to believe. There was no exact word in the dialect, so he approached one of the natives for help. When he explained his problem, the native replied without hesitation, "To believe should be translated to listen with the heart." When the apostles asked Jesus to increase their faith, I don't think they were referring to academic knowledge that one gets, for instance, from reading religious books or even studying the Bible, or from, if you're a young person, from your RE lesson. Faith also involves prayerful listening with the heart to the words of Jesus and being inwardly transformed by them. One of the gifts of the Holy Spirit, as we all know, is knowledge. Now, knowledge in the Bible means entering communion with a person, not reading a book, not knowing the Bible off by heart, chapter and verse. Communion with a person, and in this case, it's the person of Jesus. That doesn't mean that learning about Jesus in the Bible is unimportant, but at some stage or other, the message needs to drop from my head into my heart so that I can make it my own and live it out. Recently, I was looking at a DVD of Jeff Cavins. Have you ever heard of him? He's a fairly well-known Catholic evangelist. In fact, on one occasion I went to see him in Manchester, and during his talk he posed the following question: am I a fan or am I a follower of Jesus? A fan will be a great admirer of Jesus, like we might admire a film star. You'll be very uplifted also with the stories he told and struck by the miracles that Jesus worked. But being a fan doesn't necessarily draw me closer to Jesus as a person or even inspire me to follow him. A follower, on the other hand, will go much further. Firstly, by taking the words of Jesus to heart and then turning their lives over to him completely. I believe our faith will also remain somewhat academic until it's being confronted in some way. Jesus will sometimes invite us to step out from our comfort zones, like when he asked Peter to walk on the water, or when he asked the rich young man to give all his wealth to the poor and follow him. We know that Peter was a fan of Jesus, but having the courage to step onto the water shows that he was prepared to risk his life on becoming a follower as well. Can we remember a time when Jesus invited us, as it were, to step onto the water? What was our response? I often say to couples who are cohabiting, if you love your fiancé, why don't you step onto the water? and make your vows before the Lord. Burn the boats, as it were. What's stopping you? The rich young man in the gospel, he turned down the Lord's invitation to follow him, and it says he walked away a very sad man. How many men called to the priesthood are like that young man? Another indication of a growing faith is when we no longer feel uncomfortable about practicing our faith or witnessing to it, especially among those whose faith is lukewarm. St. Paul says in the reading today, never be ashamed of witnessing to the Lord. A few years ago, Pope Benedict said that some people mistakenly believe that by letting Jesus have a special place in their lives, they might end up being diminished or deprived in some way. But Benedict assures us, that we would lose nothing of what makes our lives free, beautiful, and great. Our faith in Jesus will only fan into a flame when we move from the notional to the real, from being a fan to being a follower, from a shallow cultural faith to deep commitment. Thank you all for listening, and God bless you all.